Hello, geography students. This is Mrs. Politsky. I have your notes for Chapter 19, Section 2, The History and Culture of Central Asia. So, we're going to talk a little bit about trade. Beginning around the 100 BCs, the Silk Road was a trade route for merchants that were traveling basically from Europe, primarily like Italy, to China, with the purpose of actually buying silk, which was uh, a very luxurious item that was probably fit more for the royalty or for the very, very wealthy. Anyway, cities like Samarkand Khan, and Bukhara became wealthy cities along this Silk Road. And these cities are located within the heart of Central Asia. You can kind of see some of the architecture within these images below of both of these cities. So there was a lot of wealth that was passing through this region. By the 1500s, though, Europeans had found an ocean route to Eastern Asia. And unfortunately, this led to the decline of a lot of these great cities. Merv is a city near today's city of Marij, Turkmenistan, within the Karakum Desert. And it was a principal city in that vast Silk Road time frame, and it was like an oasis because it was a place where travelers could get water and they could refresh themselves and kind of resupply before they finished off their journey. This is also on the UNESCO's World Heritage List, meaning that it's one of the most vulnerable sites from ancient times, but it's also one of the oldest and best preserved cities along the Silk Road, and its remains go back about 4,000 years ago. It was badly damaged in the 1200s by the Mongols when they came through this region, but during the time of the communists in the Soviet Union, a lot of the city was restored. Invasions. Many groups of invaders have been interested in Central Asia over the years. The Turk speaking nomads came into this region around the AD 500s. You had Arab armies that took over much of this region in the 700s, and when they showed up, they brought their religion of Islam. Between the 1200s and the 1300s, you had the Mongols, who came from the east and conquered a good portion of Central Asia, destroying many of its cities. In the 20th century, then we start seeing the rise of the Soviets, and maybe a little bit before that with the Russians. So in the mid 1800s, the Russians had conquered Central Asia, and they built railroads and expanded the cotton production, and eventually started drilling for oil. But after the 1917 Russian Revolution, the new Soviet government of the Soviet Union controlled this region from 1917 all the way up to 1991. They divided Central Asia into republics and encouraged ethnic Russians to move into these regions and made other people settle on government owned farms. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, the Central Asian republics finally became independent countries. So if you look at the map below, everything that's in the red, that used to be part of the Soviet Union. And when you look at the map below that, the area that's in the blue is, or the dark blue is basically Russia. And then you can see all those new independent states that kind of came out of the old Soviet Union. So, traditional lives. For centuries, the people of Central Asia made their living raising cattle, horses, sheep, and goats. Herders are nomadic when they're moving their herds from mountain pastures in the summer to the lowland pastures in the wintertime. Most people today live in cities, but there are still nomadic people that exist in Kyrgyzstan. These nomadic people live in this crazy kind of dwelling called a yurt, which is kind of like a teepee. It's a movable round house that's made of wool felt that comes from a lot of their sheep. It has mats that they lay down on the floor and hang over the frame to build this dwelling. People, languages, and religion. Most people in Central Asia belong to the larger ethnic group of the Turks. Some of these ethnic groups also include the Kazakhs, the Kyrgyz, the Turkmen, and the Uzbeks. Another ethnic group that we can't forget about are the Russians, because of the fact that they were in this region for about 100 years. They kind of have blended into the culture as well. Each ethnic group speaks their own language, but most people in this region speak more than one language. There is a difference between the Cyrillic and also the Latin alphabets, in that the Cyrillic alphabet is used for the Russian language, while the Latin alphabet is obviously used for the English language. In areas of Afghanistan, they use a different alphabet and a different language known as Pashto. The people of Central Asia also practice Islam, which was brought to this region by the Arabs. Christianity was brought to this region, at least the Orthodox form of it, by the Russians, kind of starting in the mid 19th century. But during the Soviet era, the government closed thousands of religious buildings, churches, and mosques. And since 1991, we're starting to see some of these buildings reopen. But as far as numbers of practicing um, people, as far as Christianity and Islam, the numbers are low in comparison to the rest of the Middle East, or comparison to Christianity in Russia or Eastern Europe. Thank you very much.